Alright, hello my Anur BF class. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So kung ano mang time kayo nakikinig ng ating discussion, okay? So this is of course a continuation of our discussion on microscopic analysis. And for this video, I will be discussing about casts. Okay, so yan. Let's start. Okay, let's start. Alright. So una, let us try to define, okay? Ano ba ang casts? Yes. So, class. Pag sinabi nating casts, these are sediments that are formed in the lumen of the tubules of your kidneys. Okay? Ma'am, bakit sila tinatawag na cast? Because okay, they are named as casts because they are molded in the tubules. So, na-encounter na ba natin ang word na cast? Yes! Kung ikaw ay nakapag-histopath na last semester or in the previous semesters, actually, na-encounter nyo na ang term na cast. Although, syempre, iba yung ibig niyang sabihin pag pumunta tayo ng histopath. Pero, meron po silang parang analogy. Okay? Let's make an analogy out of it para mas maintindihan natin. Okay? So, di ba, when we go to embedding, okay, sa histopathology, ano ang ano ang ibang term ng embedding? Blocking or casting. Tama? Okay? Kasi ano bang ginagawa natin sa embedding? Ang ginagawa natin sa embedding, minomold natin yung ating tissue sample into your block. Okay? So, ang keyword dito, class, ay molding. So, basically, ganun din ang nangyayari in the formation of your casts. You are molding the sediment in the tubules of your kidneys. Thus, the term casts. Okay, ayan. So, your casts, they are formed as a result of the precipitation or gelation of the protein Tam horsefall. Okay, so take note, hindi na bago sa atin ang Tam horsefall protein. Ano na ulit ang other name ng ating Tam horsefall protein? Okay, very good. So we have uromodulin. Okay, so wag kakalimutan class ha. Take note, the other name of your Tam horsefall protein is your uromodulin. So balikan natin yung definition na binigay ko kanina. It is formed as the result or as a result of the precipitation or gelation of your uromodulin. So ibig pong sabihin, bago ka magkaroon ng iba't ibang casts, dapat magpre-precipitate muna, mag-gelate muna yung ating uromodulin or Tam horsefall protein. And since yun yung unang step na dapat na mangyari, if you are going to look at the major component that is found in your casts, regardless of what type it is, ang major component po niyan ay uromodulin or Tam horsefall protein. Okay, so take note also that your casts, it is the only element, it is the only sediment that is found in urine that is unique to your kidneys. So, ibig sabihin, you will not be able to find any casts in the other body fluids that we process in the clinical microscopy section kasi napo-form lang siya sa ating kidneys. So the sole site of origin of your casts are your kidneys. Okay, that's why your casts, they are regarded as important indicators of intrinsic renal disease. Okay, yes. So, punta naman po tayo sa factors which affect the formation of your casts. So, actually, nasa module po ninyo ito, but I will be making some corrections kung ano man yung nasa module natin. And of course, dadagdagan ko yan. Okay? So, what are the factors which will contribute to the formation of your casts? Una sa lahat, we have urine stasis. Okay? So ano ang ibig sabihin pag sinabi nating urine stasis? There is a slowdown or even a stoppage to the flow of your urine. So remember, yung casts naman natin, hindi naman siya readily available or readily formed in our filtrate. Okay? It has to or it takes a certain period of time before your casts are formed. And of course, kung okay yung urine flow natin, hindi mabubuo yung ating casts. Okay? So, kung nagkakaroon man or kung merong decrease in your urine flow, doon na iipon yung ating uromodulin or yung ating thumb horsefall protein forming now the matrix of your casts. Okay? So, dapat merong urine stasis. Okay? So, another factor that we have to consider is high solute concentration. Okay? So yung nasa module natin, ang nakalagay dyan ay high salt concentration. But of course, medyo nakakalito kasi yung term na salt concentration. Okay, so I have read several references that we have in clinical microscopy at hindi ko na-encounter yung high salt concentration na term. Ang nakalagay sa mga references po natin ay high solute concentration. Okay? So of course, if for example, mas maraming solutes ang present doon sa ating filtrate or doon sa ating urine, this will promote the precipitation and gelation of your thumb horsefall protein. Ayan, okay? So remember, when you go back to biochemistry, there are several factors which will actually promote the denaturation, the precipitation of your proteins, and one of which is your high solute concentration. Mas nagpre-precipitate, mas naggelate ang ating mga proteins. Okay? So another thing that we have to consider is if there is high ionic concentration. Okay, so another factor which will promote cast formation is high ionic concentration. Okay, high ionic concentration po. Yan ang nakay graphs. Okay, yung book na graphs, siya ang nagsabing high ionic concentration. Kay Henry, ang sinabi po niya ay abnormal. Okay? Abnormal ionic concentration. Alright? So, in particular, ito naman nakuha ko yata kay Strassinger. Okay? So, basta nakuha ko siya sa mga references natin. Nakalimutan ko na kung saan ko nabasa. Basta nabasa ko siya. Okay? Another, when it comes to the ions that are present in our urine, we are after the presence of your sodium, and calcium. Alright, so remember that these substances, they are ionized, they are electrolytes, di ba? And so they will contribute to the ionic concentration of your urine. Okay, so if there is a high ionic concentration, if the ionic concentration is abnormal, so again, this will promote the precipitation, the denaturation, the gelation of your proteins. Okay, so yan. Another thing that we have to consider would be the presence of abnormal proteins. Okay? Kay Henry, ang sabi niya doon, actually parehas din naman sila if you are going to really understand the statement of Henry's. Ang nakalagay kay Henry's, larger than normal. Okay? Larger than normal quantities. Alright? Larger than normal quantities of plasma proteins. Okay, yes. So presence of abnormal proteins or larger than normal quantities. Okay, quantities of plasma proteins. So again, this will promote, okay, the precipitation, the gelation, the denaturation of your uromodulin, otherwise referred to as your Tam Horsfall protein. All right, so these are the factors that we have to consider. May nakalimutan ako. Okay? Another factor that we have to consider is low pH. Okay, alam naman natin yan na pag low pH, ano na ulit ito? This is acidic. And of course, an acidic environment will affect also the precipitation and the gelation of your proteins. In this case, we are considering your Tam Horsfall protein. Okay, tama, 'di ba? Dinidiscuss 'yan sa ating biochemistry. Kaya lagi kong sinasabi, actually sa lahat ng subjects ko, wag na wag kakalimutan yung mga basics para hindi ka nahihirapang intindihin yung mga concepts na binibigay namin in your professional subjects. Okay, ayan. So alam na natin yung mga factors which will contribute to the formation of your casts. Ngayon, saan na-form ang casts? Okay, syempre, nandiyan na yan sa ating mga modules at saka andito din siya sa ating PowerPoint. Okay, so specifically, alam natin na ang ating cast ay na-form sa tubules. Pero saang part ng tubules? Okay, so specifically, they are formed in your distal convoluted tubule and your collecting ducts. Okay, sige. Pag-isahin po natin yung alam natin. Okay, ano ang alam natin? Alam natin na ang casts ay mafo-form or the formation of your casts will be enhanced by an acidic pH, okay? It will be enhanced by high ionic concentration, okay? High solute concentration. Alright? So alam natin na mga factors yan which will contribute to the formation of your casts. Ngayon, balik tayo sa renal physiology. Okay? Doon sa ating renal tubules, saan tayo makakakita or saan natin ma-observe yung concentrated na urine sample? Okay, saan natin ma-observe yung pinaka-acidic na filtrate or na urine? Doon po sa distal convoluted tubule hanggang sa collecting ducts. Remember, these portions are considered to be the final site of urine concentration. Okay, tama. Ayan, saan ba nagkakaroon ng maraming electrolytes sa filtrates? 'Di ba? Doon sa ating DCT hanggang sa ating collecting ducts. Okay? So since these sites, okay, these sites contain urine or filtrate that have reached its maximum concentration and acidification, okay, doon mafo-form yung casts. Naku ha, ayan, huwag kakalimutan po yung mga basic natin para at least naiintindihan natin kung yung mga bagong concepts na ituturo ni instructor. Naku ha, ayan, naintindihan na, o di ba ang saya. Okay, eto na, dito na lumalabas yung ating mga basic knowledge, okay, about renal physiology. Alright, so kaya doon siya na-form. Okay, naku ha, ayan. Alright, so take note, yes, that when we examine your casts, okay, ang unang dapat mong i-check ay yung light intensity. So this is in practice ha, okay. So in practice, you have to examine your casts under subdued light. Alright, so alam na natin yung subdued light na yan, okay? So sabi naman natin, whenever you examine a urine sample, always make use of a subdued light para hindi masyadong bright, okay? Makikita natin yung ating mga sediments. Because, ano ang sabi ko? Sediments, they usually have a low refractive index and they have a similar refractive index to that of your urine sample. Mas pag ang ang ino-observe natin ay yung mga casts. Okay? So this is the sediment which would really require examination under your subdued light. Okay? So ano ulit? Ang subdued light. So subdued light meaning the intensity of the light that you should use should be low. Okay, and what component of your microscope is utilized in order to select the subdued light or in order to regulate, okay, the light intensity? Yes, very good. We have your rheostat. Okay, ayan. And apart from making use of your subdued light, take note that your casts, they have the propensity to be distributed at the edges of your cover slip. Okay, ayan. Oh, new word, propensity. Di ba pag sinabi mong propensity, they have a higher likelihood for something. And in this case, your casts, they are distributed in the edges of your cover slip. Okay, so kung kunwari man na in the laboratory, you are expecting to see casts in your urine sample, ano ang unang gagawin? Make use of your subdued light and then scan the edges of your cover slip. Kasi nandiyan, okay? Nandiyan usually yung mga casts natin. Okay? So apart from that, when it comes naman to the acceptability of your urine sample, dito natin i-make sure dapat that our urine sample is fresh. Okay, why? Because take note that your casts dissolve in alkaline urine as well as in your neutral urine, and this will be compounded if the specific gravity of your urine is low. Specifically, if it is 1.003 or less, mas magdi-dissolve ang ating mga casts. Okay, ayan. So, hindi talaga pwede dito yung prolonged standing urine. Because remember, what is the effect if you are going to stand your urine sample for prolonged periods of time in the laboratory? Magiging alkaline yung pH. At pag naging alkaline yung pH or even pag naging neutral yung pH ng ating urine, mawawala yung ating casts. Ano ba ang gusto ng cast when it comes to the pH? Acidic. Okay, low pH, acidic. Nakuha? Alright, ayan. Very good. Okay, so, yes, moving on. Yes, moving on. All right, so there is actually a a similar sediment, a similar sediment to your casts, which we refer to as your cylindroids. Okay, so yung ating cylindroids naman, they are formed at a different site in our tubules, in our renal tubules. Specifically, they are formed at the junction of your ascending loop of Henle and your DCT. That's why if you are going to look at the appearance of your cylindroids, they have tapered ends. Medyo patusok yung kanilang ends as compared to the blunt ends of your casts. Okay, so I will try to draw para at least maintindihan natin. Pag cylindroids po class, okay, so sabi niya, tapered ends. So ibig sabihin, medyo patusok siya. Okay, yes, medyo patusok siya. As compared to the blunt ends, okay, as compared to the blunt ends naman of your casts. Okay, so ito, cylindroids. Ito naman ay casts. Okay? But take note na even if they appear differently and even if they are formed at different sites in your renal tubules, the clinical significance of your cylindroids is the same as that of your casts. So parehas lang po sila ng clinical significance. Alright? Ayan. So the presence of casts in your urine, so this is referred to as your cylindruria. Oh, wag kayong maaano ha, do not be confused ha. Cylindruria po ang tawag sa presence ng casts sa urine. Wala po tayong term na castoria. Oh, alam mo naman si Ma'am Gili, minsan buo-buo din to eh. Okay, minsan nagbibigay siya ng terms na wala naman talaga. Okay, so walang term na castoria ha. O, ayan. Ang term ay cylindruria. Okay, presence of casts in urine. Alright, so yan po. Alright, so before we move on to the different casts that we have in clinical microscopy, okay, so let us try to, let us try to discuss muna. Oo, bago ako pumunta sa degeneration of casts. Okay? Let us try to discuss the formation of your casts. Okay? So, paano ba na-form ang casts natin? So, actually, nasa module po ninyo yan on page 82. Okay? So, nakalagay dyan, formation of casts. Alright. So, ano ang nangyayari? Okay. So, una, kailangan nating maging concentrated muna. Tama? Yes. So, the tubular lumen. Okay, so the tubular lumen becomes concentrated first. Okay, and of course, with the concentration of the contents of your lumen, sige, ayan. So una, magkakaroon ng increased content concentration, okay, of the filtrate that is present in your tubules. Tama? Increased content concentration. So, pwede nating sabihin ito na increased solute concentration. Okay? So, pag nagkaroon ng increased content concentration, so, your TAM horsefall protein, so this will form fibrils, okay, which will eventually attach to the cells of your ducts. Okay, particularly, we have your distal convoluted tubule and your collecting ducts. Okay, so next. Ang next na mangyayari ay magkakaroon ng fibril formation of your TAM horsefall protein. So, yan, tama. And these fibrils will attach, okay, and attach to your ductal cells or your renal tubular epithelial cells. Okay? So, after the formation of your fibrils, ano ang next na mangyayari? Okay? So, as your TAM horsefall protein forms fibrils, okay? As your TAM horsefall protein forms fibrils, okay? This will now create a matrix. So, habang dumadami yung fibrils natin, magkakaroon ka ng matrix formation. Okay, so this will now form your matrix. Okay, so of course, yung matrix natin, okay, if the different cellular elements or if the different elements or sediments in your filtrate becomes available, they are entrapped or enmeshed in the matrix. Okay, so mapupunta doon yung ating cellular elements at saka yung ibang mga sediments which are present in your filtrates. Okay? So yan. So nakalagay dyan sa inyong module, attachment of urinary sediments to the matrix. Okay? So ang next ay attachment, okay, of urinary sediments. Okay? So after the attachment of your urinary sediments, so ang next na mangyayari ay the cast will detach, okay, and excreted out, okay, and excreted out as part of your urine. Nakuha? Ayan. So, depende yung kailan magde-detach ang cast. Okay? Very good question. Magde-detach ang cast pag as a consequence of urine flow. Okay? So, ibig pong sabihin, pag hindi masyadong okay. Okay? So, if the urine flow is not okay or if the urine flow is decreased, of course, it will be harder for the cast to detach from your RTE cells. Nakuha? Ayan. Kaya nga, di ba, one of the factors that we are considering in the formation of your cast is urine stasis. Okay? Kasi pag hindi yan ma-detach, magde-degenerate at magde-degenerate yan doon sa kanyang site of attachment. Okay? Particularly in your DCT up to your collecting ducts. Nakuha? Ayan. So that is when it comes to the formation of your casts. Okay? So I will just try to draw para at least medyo mas maintindihan ng iba. Okay? So, di ba, ang una, okay, of course, increase in content concentration or solute concentration and all the other factors. So, this will result to the formation of your thumb horsefall fibrils. So, yan. Okay? So, mag-i-intertwine yan. Okay? It will form a mesh-like matrix. Ayan. Okay, so meron na tayong matrix, okay? And of course, kung kunwari man na meron tayong, for example, meron tayong RDC doon sa ating filtrates, okay, it will be trapped. Matatrap yan, okay, doon sa ating matrix na na-form. Alright? So, pwede din naman na ang ma-form, ang matrap rather ay ang ating mga white blood cells. Okay? So, pwede din pong white blood cells ang matrap. Alright? So, pwede din naman na ang matrap ay mga RTE cells. Okay? So, renal tubular epithelial cells. Ayan. Pwede din na ang matrap ay mga bacteria. Okay? So, maliliit lang ang mga bacteria. Ayan, so pwedeng sila din ang ma-entrap doon sa ating mesh or pwede din po na mga proteins. Okay, so any proteins that has precipitated in our filtrate, so it may also be incorporated or trapped in our matrix. Okay, so dyan nagkakaroon ng iba't ibang klase ng casts. Alright, so I hope everything is clear. Ayan. Alright, so punta na tayo sa degeneration of your casts. Okay? Ano yung unang cast na na-form? Siyempre, ang unang cast na na-form ay yung pinaka-simple. Okay? So, dito ko na lang ilagay class ha. Alright, dark dapat para... Ayan. So, when it comes to the degeneration of your casts, particularly, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito na degeneration ay yung nangyayari sa tubules natin. Okay? Yes. So, if your cast is not able to detach itself from the RTE cell to which it is attached, okay, because of, say for example, urine stasis. Actually, yun lang ang factor na kino-consider natin when it comes to the degeneration of your casts. Okay? Nagde-degenerate ang casts sa loob ng tubules kasi mabagal ang urine flow or there is a stoppage to your urine flow. Thus, the cast stays there and it continues to degenerate until such time that it will be detached from the RTE cell to which it is attached. Okay, ayan. So, ang pinakasimple ay si Hyaline Casts. Okay, so remember yung Hyaline Cast natin, wala talaga siyang, okay, may mga Hyaline Casts po tayo na walang laman. Tama? Horsefall protein lang. Meron din naman tayong mga hyaline casts na merong konting proteins, okay, or merong konting granules. Still, we classify them under hyaline casts. Okay? Ayan. So, syempre, kung yung hyaline casts natin fail to detach itself due to urine stasis, the different cells that are present in our urine filtrate or in our filtrates will be enmeshed. Okay? They will be entrapped in your hyaline casts. Thus, the next type of cast that will form are your cellular casts. Alright, so marami po tayong types ng cellular casts. We have your RTE casts, we have your Rbc casts, we have your bacterial casts, we have your Wbc casts. Alright, so yan. So next ay cellular cast. Okay? So say for example, hindi pa din siya nagde-detach from our RTE cell. Of course, yung cellular or yung cells na na-entrap doon sa ating hyaline casts, okay, they will start to undergo degeneration or disintegration. Alright? Such that naglalays yung mga cells na nandun. So if they undergo disintegration, they will now form your coarsely, so magiging coarsely granular cast na sila. Okay, bakit coarsely? Kasi syempre, 'di ba? Hindi naman siya pino. Tinagalog mo lang. Okay. 'Di ba? Malalaking granules muna ang mafo-form kasi we're talking about the disintegration of your cells here. Alangan namang maliit agad, 'di ba? Okay. So ang next po na cast na mafo-form after your cellular cast are your coarsely granular casts. Okay? So again, hindi pa din siya nagde-detach from our RTE cell kasi nga mabagal ang urine flow natin or there is a stoppage to the urine flow. So again, magdi-disintegrate further yung ating coarsely granular cast at magiging finely granular cast po siya. Okay, syempre, yung mga malalaking granules, they will undergo further disintegration, further degeneration, such that you are able now to form your finely granular casts. Okay, and kunwari talagang ayaw mag-detach. Ayan, kasi nga hindi na nagpo-flow yung urine. There is extreme stasis already of your urine. Okay, in your tubules. So yung finely granular cast na yan, it will further disintegrate to it will further disintegrate to form now your waxy casts. Okay? Ayan. So, yan po ang degeneration ng ating casts. So, kung hindi nagde-detach ang ating mga casts, okay, magkakaroon sila ng or they will undergo a series of degeneration. Ngayon, time ko naman na magtanong. Alright, so kung i-compare natin class, okay, the different casts and taking into consideration urine stasis, pag nakakita ka ng waxy casts, ay sobra na ang urine stasis. Diba? Kasi hindi naman yan mafo-form unless meron talagang grabe or severe na urine stasis. As compared to when you are able to see a hyaline cast. Alin ang mas significant? Alin ang mas nakakatakot na makita? mas nakakatakot, pinaka nakakatakot na makita ang waxy casts. Okay? Yan. So, kung i-compare naman natin si coarsely granular at saka si finely granular. Okay? So, which will indicate a higher degree of urine stasis? It's your finely granular. Okay? Cellular versus waxy, which will indicate a higher degree of urine stasis? Waxy. Naku ha? So yun yung essence, okay, or significance kung bakit ko tinuturo ang degeneration of casts para maintindihan natin yung gravity. Yung gravity or yung degree, okay, of the disease. Okay, yung severity ng disease natin para maintindihan natin. Okay, so yan. So I hope everything is clear. Alright, so 30 minutes, one slide. Okay. Alright, so medyo mabilis na lang ito kasi na-explain ko naman na. Na-explain ko naman na yung kailangan ninyong malaman para maintindihan yung ating mga casts. Okay? So punta na po tayo sa mga casts natin. Alright. So una, we have your hyaline casts. Okay? So since doon po sa ating cast formation, sila yung unang na-form, thus, sila din ang most frequently seen. Okay? Kasi madali lang po silang ma-form as compared to the other casts that we have. Naku ha, sila nga ang pinakasimple eh. Sila ang unang na-form bago ma-form yung ibang types ng casts. Alright, so most frequently seen therefore is your hyaline casts. Okay, so let me just describe your hyaline cast. So babalik tayo dito sa slide na to. Ito muna. So as you can see, may nakikita ba kayo? Okay, so mahirap po talaga siyang hanapin. But in this particular slide, so yan yung ating hyaline casts. Okay, so meron siyang katabi na squamous epithelial cell. Okay, so your hyaline casts, they are usually colorless with a homogeneous protein matrix. And as you can see, the ends are rounded. So pag ganyan, pa-curve, sorry. Okay, the ends of your hyaline casts are rounded. So out of all the different casts that we have, your hyaline cast is the most difficult to be detected. Why? Because your hyaline casts, they have the same refractive index as your urine. Okay, so yun yung problema. Kaya sometimes we overlook the presence of your hyaline casts. Okay? Ayan. So balik tayo dun sa una po natin na slide. Alright? So, clinical significance of your hyaline casts. So their presence in urine, so it can be due to a non-pathologic condition or a pathologic condition. Okay, so before we go to the clinical significance, what is the normal value for your hyaline casts? So remember that normal value for your hyaline cast is 0 to 2 per LPF. Okay, so 0 to 2 per LPF. Yan yung normal value po ng hyaline casts. Okay, so there are certain diseases which are associated with the presence of your hyaline casts, and of course there are also non-pathologic conditions which will result to the formation of your hyaline casts. Okay, so non-pathologic condition would include strenuous exercise. Ayan, strenuous exercise. What else? Dehydration. Okay, so yung dehydration na sinasabi natin dito, hindi yung severe na dehydration. Okay, another, we have heat, emotional stress. Okay, emotional stress. So those are non-pathologic conditions which will which will result to the formation of your hyaline casts in your renal tubules. Thus, we are able to see them in your urine sample. Okay, so yan, non-pathologic conditions po to. Alright, so there are also pathologic conditions which will result to the formation of more, okay, hyaline casts or increased numbers of hyaline casts in your urine sample. So what are these pathologic conditions? So it has been associated with acute glomerulonephritis, okay? What else? Pyelonephritis, okay? Chronic, ayan, chronic renal disease. And do not forget, we have your congestive heart failure. Okay? Favorite nila ang congestive heart failure. So do not forget ito. Okay, put an asterisk at balikan nyo yan pag nagre-review na kayo. Okay, for your board exam. Alright, so these are pathologic conditions which will result to increased numbers of hyaline casts in urine. Okay, so, ayan. Alright, so, ayan. Okay. Okay. Alright, so punta na tayo sa next. So we have your hyaline casts. Ayan. So medyo mahirap talaga siyang i-identify under the microscope. Alright, so the next cast, we have your Rbc casts. Okay, so for your Rbc casts, let us try to remember kung ano ba ang significance ng ating mga RBCs. Okay? Kasi, syempre, kailangan sila in the formation of your casts. Alright? So, take note. Yes, based on our previous discussions, take note that the presence of your RBCs in your urine sample. So this indicates bleeding in the genitourinary tract. Okay? So kung titignan mo, hindi siya ganun ka-specific sa ating kidneys. Okay? It's not specific to our kidneys because the other organs of your genitourinary tract, so they may contribute in the presence of your RBCs. Okay? Specifically, kung nagkaroon ng problem when it comes to the vascular integrity of the blood vessels that are present in your genitourinary tract. Okay? Ayan. However, if we are talking about Rbc casts, okay, eto na. If we are talking about Rbc casts, this indicates bleeding within the nephron. Okay, so ibig sabihin, class, pag nakakita ka ng Rbc casts, sigurado na ang problema mo ay kidneys and not any other organ of your genitourinary tract. Okay? Ayan, remember saan ba na-form ang ating cast? 'Di ba? Ayan, sa kidneys. Okay? And so, kung may bleeding doon sa ating nephron, ma-enmesh, matatrap yung mga RBCs natin doon sa casts. Alright? Kaya very specific. Inuulit-ulit ko, specific po ang Rbc casts sa ating nephron or sa ating kidneys. Okay? So, yan po. Alright. So, there are other casts which we may be able to see, okay, instead of your Rbc casts. Ayan. So, meron tayong tinatawag na hemoglobin cast or otherwise referred to as your blood casts. Okay. So, ang hemoglobin cast or blood casts, this is a cast that has formed due to the degeneration, okay, of your Rbc casts. Okay, so since it is a cast that it is an Rbc cast rather that has degenerated, okay, so this cast, your hemoglobin cast or your blood cast, is still reported as Rbc cast kasi dun naman siya galing. Okay, nakuha. So nire-report pa rin po yan as Rbc Cast because it is merely a degenerated Rbc Cast. Okay, so what does it tell us? Kung kunwari man na what you have observed, okay? What you have observed, degeneration of Rbc Cast. Ayan. Degeneration, ayan. What can we, okay, what can we conclude if, for example, ang nakita mo ay blood cast or hemoglobin cast instead of your Rbc cast? Okay, very good. So it indicates, okay, so this indicates greater urine stasis. Tama, kasi degenerated Rbc cast lang naman yan or degenerated Rbc cast naman yan. So, ibig sabihin, nag-degenerate yung Rbc cast kasi mabagal ang urine flow. Okay, yan, kasi mabagal ang urine flow natin. Kaya naging hemoglobin cast siya or blood cast. Alright, ayan. Alright, so another, kasi it was mentioned in your module, okay, so that's why I have to explain it also. We have to be careful when it comes to the presence naman of your hemoglobinuria and your myoglobinuria. Okay, ayan. So presence naman ng hemoglobinuria, okay, or your myoglobinuria. All right. So take note that your hemoglobinuria and your myoglobinuria, okay, so it involves the presence of proteins, or yes, in this case, your hemoglobin and your myoglobin, which are toxic to your renal tubules. Okay, ayan. So, ilagay ko lang your hemoglobin as well as your myoglobin. So, these are, take note ha, these are toxic, okay, to your renal tubules. Alright? And since they are toxic to your renal tubules, they may cause acute tubular necrosis. Okay? Which may lead to renal failure. Iba naman ang cast na due to the presence of hemoglobin or myoglobin in your urine. Nako ha, iba naman po yan. Okay? So what is the appearance of your casts? If, for example, the problem is not hematuria but hemoglobinuria or myoglobinuria. So in this case, your casts will appear as homogeneous orange red, okay, or red brown. So homogeneous orange-red or red-brown. So they may also be granular. Okay, they may also be granular, dirty brown casts. Naku ha, particularly kung yung hemoglobin natin has already degraded to form your methemoglobin. Okay? Yan. So particularly, again, if, for example, yung ating hemoglobin which is trapped in your cast has already degraded to methemoglobin. Okay? So ano yung magiging appearance ng cast? Granular dirty brown casts. Okay? Pag hemoglobin naman or myoglobin ang na-trap doon sa ating cast, ano ang appearance ng cast? Homogeneous orange-red or red-brown. Okay? So nakuha? Ayan. Ma'am, paano natin masasabi na hemoglobinuria siya or myoglobinuria at hindi hematuria? You have to correlate. Okay, mamaya i-correlate din natin yung ating, okay, i-correlate din natin yung ating Rbc Casts. Okay. So, ang problema dito ay hindi si glomerulus. Tama? Kasi sabi niya dyan, toxic to your renal tubules. Ang problema mo dyan ay yung renal tubules. Tama? Okay. And so, aside from the casts, okay, na nakita mo to be homogeneous orange red or red brown or granular dirty brown, okay, ano ang isa pa na pwede mong tignan? You look for the presence of your RTE cells. Okay? So, kung merong RTE cells at in the reagent strip testing, it yielded a positive result. Reagent strip testing, it yielded a positive result for blood. Kasi 'di ba, pag hemoglobin at saka myoglobin, magpa-positive 'yan sa reagent strip ng blood. Tama? Okay. Pero ang cell na makikita mo ay RTE cell. Kasi ang problema mo pag hemoglobinuria at saka myoglobinuria ay yung renal tubules, hindi yung glomerulus. Nakuha. Okay, ayan. Alright. Ma'am, paano pag ang problema naman natin ay hematuria? Okay? Yan, sige. Sige. Hindi ko na tuloy alam kung anong gagawin ko. Okay, so sige. Yan. Punta tayo dito sa next. Alright. Ayan. Kung ang problema po natin, class, ay hematuria, okay, syempre, ang mafo-form na cast ay talagang Rbc Casts. Okay, so ang mafo-form na cast ay Rbc Casts. Okay, so the presence of your Rbc cast is or has rather a serious diagnostic implication. Okay, so ulitin ko ha. Pag meron kang nakitang Rbc cast sa urine natin, so this indicates a serious diagnostic implication or it has serious diagnostic implications. Okay? And so, hindi po tayo basta-basta na nagre-report ng Rbc cast. You have to verify. Okay? You have to verify po. Okay? How do we verify? You have to look closely at your cast using your low power objective, and the color of your Rbc cast is orange-red. Okay? It should have an orange-red color. That is according to Susan Strasinger. Or it should have a yellow color. That is according to Henry. Nakuha? And syempre, the different cells are seen there. Dapat sa dapat doon sa ating Rbc cast, may area na well distinguished. Okay? Very distinct yung mga Rbc cells. Alright? So, yung distinction ng ating mga Rbc cells in your cast, it should be observed using your high power objective. Okay, so in or under or in rather your high power field, the cast matrix, okay, should be detected, okay, should be detected in order to differentiate, okay, should be detected to differentiate, okay, Rbc cast from Rbc clumping. Nako ha? Kasi sa low power field, hindi mo siya masyadong makikita. Tama, hindi mo talaga masyadong madidifferentiate kung may cast matrix ba or clumping lang yung nakita mo. Okay? And so, you have to make use of your high power field. Dapat may area doon sa cast natin in which you are really able to see your RBCs. Well distinct siya. Okay? And apart from that, dapat may makita kang matrix. Okay? Like for example, in this particular casts, okay? So, makikita mo talaga na merong mga RBCs. And apart from that, in certain areas of your cast, makikita mo yung matrix. 'Di ba? Ayan, nakikita mo talaga na may matrix to which your cells are trapped. Okay? So, yan. And apart from that, katulad nga ng sinabi ko, when it comes to your hemoglobinuria and your myoglobinuria, you have to correlate. Okay? Ano naman ang correlations ng RBC casts? Alright? So, kung RBC cast yan, ang problema mo ay yung glomerulus. Tama? Yung glomerulus ang problema. Alright? So, yan. So for your RBC casts, okay? So your RBC cast should be accompanied by freestanding RBCs. Naku ha? It should be accompanied by freestanding RBCs. And apart from that, okay? And apart from that, so it should have a positive result for the reagent strip. Okay? Reagent strip test for blood. Naku ha? Ayan. Okay? Naintindihan? Okay, so kung RBC cast, ang hahanapin mo ay kung bleeding. Okay, kung bleeding within the nephron ang hinahanap natin, dapat may free-standing RBCs at merong positive na reagent strip test for blood. Why? Because it is highly improbable. Okay? Highly hindi pwede. Highly improbable, highly impossible. If RBCs, okay, if your RBC casts are the ones na madedetect mo lang. Okay? Hindi pwedeng RBC cast lang. Napaka-imposible nun. Dapat yung RBC cast, meron siyang kasamang RBCs at positive siya sa reagent strip test ng blood. Okay, nakuha. Ayan. Alright. So, yan po, hematuria. Kung talagang hematuria siya. Pero, again, class, pag hemoglobinuria, myoglobinuria, so remember, your hemoglobin and your myoglobin are toxic to your renal tubules. And so, ang kasama ni RBC cast ay si RTE cell. Okay, ayan. Sige. Ma'am, paano naman tayo, kasi very hindi masyadong specific yung indication ng RBC casts, 'di ba? Ang sabi niya lang ay bleeding in the nephron. We all know na maraming parts ang nephron. Specifically, yung dalawang general parts ng nephron natin ay si renal corpuscle, which includes your glomerulus, and then your renal tubules. Tama? Okay. So, ma'am, paano natin masisiguro na yung glomerulus ang problema natin at hindi yung ibang parts ng ating renal tubules? Kasi pwede din naman na bleeding siya sa renal tubules. Okay, so ganito yan, class. Okay, so pag glomerulonephritis, okay, ang pinag-uusapan natin, remember, there is something wrong with the integrity of your glomerulus, thus affecting also the integrity of your filtration barrier. Okay, so pag ang problema mo ay glomerulonephritis, okay, there is a concomitant proteinuria. Yes, kasi may something wrong nga doon sa barrier natin. So yung mga proteins ay magli-leak out from the circulation. Okay? So there is proteinuria and ano ulit? 'Di ba? Ano ulit yung hallmark ng glomerulonephritis? Anong tawag natin sa RBC na yan? Dysmorphic RBC. Nako ha? So kung dysmorphic RBC ang nakita mo, okay, at merong Rbc Casts, alright, ayan, proteinuria, dysmorphic Rbc Casts, glomerulonephritis yan. Okay, kasi sabi nga natin, hallmark ang dysmorphic RBC ng problem sa glomerulus. Nako ha, ayan. Ma'am, paano kung kunwaring hindi naman dysmorphic yung RBC na nakita natin? So it might be due to other causes. Okay, yan. So pwedeng hindi glomerular yung problema. Pwedeng tubular yung problema. Nakuha? Ayan. Alright. And then, in your glomerulonephritis, if for example, this particular condition persists, okay, so pwede din po tayong makakita ng Wbc casts along with your Rbc casts. Okay, ayan. Kasi nga, again, pag na-compromise yung ating filtration barrier, the different cellular elements which are present in the circulation will leak out and become part of the filtrate. Okay, so yan. So that is for your Rbc casts. Okay? Next na tayo, we have your Wbc casts. Alright, so your Wbc casts, it signifies the presence of an infection or the presence of an inflammation within the nephron. Okay, kasi nga ang cast sa nephron lang po yan na-form. Okay, so your Wbc casts, okay, it is when we talk about infection and yes, in general, the presence of your Wbc cast, so this is most frequently, okay, it is most frequently associated with pyelonephritis. Okay, so yan. So again, pag sinabi nating pyelonephritis, this is an infection that involves your kidneys. Okay, yes, kidneys. Urinary tract infection po siya involving now your kidneys. Okay, yes. So remember, sige, punta tayo sa mga urinary tract infections ha. Alright, so remember na ang ating urinary system, tanggalin ko muna si inflammation. Remember na ang ating urinary system, okay, so they may get infected with bacteria such that this will now lead to your urinary tract infection. Okay, so yan. Alright, ayan, nawala ang aking ano. Okay, so anyway, sige, dito na lang ha, class. Alright, so urinary tract infection tayo. Okay. Yan, tapos nyo na din to sa lek, nakita ko. Alright, so para lang mas maintindihan natin. Okay, so pag ang pinag-uusapan natin class ay urinary tract infection. Alright, so the different organs of your urinary system, they are all, or there is a possibility na ma-infect sila. Okay, so sige, mag-start tayo sa urethritis. Okay? Para alam natin yung mga terms po na ginagamit natin to refer to your UTI, okay, of the specific organs of your urinary system. So from the term itself, urethritis, this is an infection of your urethra. Okay? Infection po yan ng urethra natin. Sorry. Okay. Akyat tayo. Okay? So after ng urethra, ano ang next? Meron tayong urinary bladder. Okay? Infection of your urinary bladder is referred to as your cystitis. Okay? UB na lang ilagay ko dyan ha. Urinary bladder. Okay? Akyat pa ulit tayo. Okay? Ang next na pwedeng ma-infect ay yung ating kidneys. Alright? So infection of your kidneys is referred to as pyelonephritis. Okay? So ang affected na po dito ay ang ating kidneys. Naku ha? Ayan. So meron po tayong tinatawag na upper UTI at saka lower UTI. Okay? So pag doon sa lower portion of the urinary system, syempre, ang tawag natin dyan ay lower UTI. Okay? So, ano yung mga examples natin ng lower UTI? We have your urethritis and your cystitis. So, if the microorganism is able to invade, okay, your kidneys and infect your kidneys, ang tawag natin dyan ay pyelonephritis, and this is considered as upper urinary tract infection. Okay, ayan. Alright. So, one of the ways by which we are able to differentiate your lower UTI from your upper UTI is the observance of your Wbc casts. Okay? So take note, class, na ang Wbc cast natin, it is considered to be as the primary marker, okay, in differentiating pyelonephritis from the other types of UTI. Tama? So, kasi, yan. So, in other references, ayan, ang nakalagay naman doon ay marker or sediment used to differentiate upper from lower UTI. Okay? So, ang correct answer dyan ay Wbc casts. Kasi, again, saan na-form ang Wbc casts? Sa renal tubules, sa kidneys. So, magkakaroon ka lang ng Wbc casts pag ang infected na organ ay yung ating kidneys. Okay, ayan. So, distinguishing marker or primary marker in the differentiation of pyelonephritis, okay, which is your upper UTI from your cystitis, okay, from your cystitis in particular, or your lower UTI. Okay, so yan. Alright. So therefore, kung titignan po natin yung ating correlation, okay, when it comes to your cystitis, in particular, pag cystitis po ang pyelonephritis pala. Pag pyelonephritis ang pinag-uusapan natin, anong mga sediments ang pwede mong makita? Pwede kang makakita ng WBCs, okay? Pwede kang makakita ng, dapat talaga pala, may makita kang WBCs, may makita kang bacteria, at Wbc casts. Okay, so yan, WBCs, bacteria, at of course your Wbc casts. Kung ganyan ang urine result ng pasyente, pyelonephritis. Okay, ma'am, paano naman pag cystitis? So sabi natin, ang Wbc casts na-form lang yan sa kidneys. And so, pag cystitis, ang pinag-uusapan natin, ano ang pwede nating makita or ano ang dapat nating makita doon sa urine sample ng patient. So, we have your WBCs at saka bacteria lang. Okay, yes, WBCs at saka bacteria lang po. Alright, so yan. So, meron din pong way by which we can actually differentiate acute, diba? Acute naman versus chronic. Okay? Acute versus chronic UTI. Sige, ilagay ko lang. Acute versus chronic UTI. And that would be the presence of WBC clumps. Okay, so ma'am, bakit mo naman dito pinasok yung WBC clumps na yan? Kasi class, katulad ng Rbc casts, you have to be able to distinguish your Wbc casts from your Wbc clumps. Okay? Yan. Kasi ang Wbc clumps po natin, this indicates acute UTI. And ang sabi nga sa ating mga libro, it is strongly suggestive, okay, of acute infection. Alright? Ayan. And take note na yung Wbc clumps natin at saka Wbc casts, pwedeng medyo magkamukha sila. Okay? Kaya nga, sabi ko nga, dapat ma-distinguish mo ang Wbc casts from your Wbc clumps. Why? Again, ang Wbc clumps natin, although it is strongly suggestive of acute infection, it is not. Galit ka na naman. Hindi. It is not specific to your kidneys. Okay? Ayan. It is not specific to your kidneys. So, ibig sabihin, if you have acute cystitis, if you have acute urethritis, okay, pwedeng meron din silang WBC clumps. As long as the infection is considered to be acute, pwedeng may makita kang WBC clumps. Okay? Paano kung kunwaring ano tawag dito? Kunwari na WBC cast pala yung nakita mo tapos ni-report mo na WBC clumps. 'Di ba? Di iisipin ng doktor na acute lang yung infection but not necessarily affecting your kidneys. Tama? Okay, ayan. So that's why it's important for us to be able to differentiate your WBC clumps from your Wbc casts. Alright? So yan. Okay, so we are done with infection. So punta naman tayo doon sa isang reason kung bakit nagkakaroon tayo ng Wbc casts at yan ay ang non-bacterial inflammation. Okay, so Wbc casts may also form in the presence of a non-bacterial inflammation. Okay, so inflammatory condition naman po ito. So what are inflammatory conditions which will result to the formation of your Wbc cast? So first, we have your acute interstitial nephritis. Okay? So hindi na bago class ang acute interstitial nephritis sa atin. Nabanggit ko na yan several times doon sa mga previous videos natin. Okay? So ano ang hahanapin natin together with your Wbc casts? Ang hahanapin natin, syempre meron tayong Wbc casts, okay? And then WBCs. Okay? In particular, what WBC again is involved in your interstitial nephritis? 'Di ba? Sabi ko, hyperallergic. Hypersensitivity reaction ito. Okay? So ang kaakibat na WBC na meron dapat ay eosinophils. Okay, ayan. So ang Wbc casts din po natin ay pwedeng makita, nabanggit ko din yan, sa glomerulonephritis. Particularly kung severely compromised yung ating filtration barrier. Okay? So if for example, Wbc casts, okay, at glomerulonephritis, yung meron na sakit yung pasyente, ang hahanapin natin na kasama niya ay Rbc casts. And of course, your freestanding RBCs. Particularly, we have your dysmorphic RBCs. Okay, so isali na din natin para hindi natin makalimutan si dysmorphic RBCs. Walang bakterya itong mga to. Kasi non-bacterial inflammation nga siya. Okay, ayan. So, ganyan ha. So, pag bacterial infection, pag UTI, dapat may bakterya. Naku ha, ayan. Alright. So, the presence of your Wbc casts along with your bacteria, okay, which indicates rather urinary tract infection. So this warrants the need to perform bacterial culture. Okay, so pag nakakita ka ng Wbc casts at merong bacteria din nakasama yung ating Wbc casts, dapat mag-bacterial culture ka. Kasi umakyat na yung infection. Okay? Umakyat na yung infection and it now affects your kidneys. Naapektuhan na po yung kidneys natin. So, ibig sabihin, yung yung antibiotic therapy or yung antimicrobial therapy ng ating pasyente, pwedeng hindi na siya effective. 'Di ba? Ayan. Kasi class, ganito, isipin natin ha, pag UTI, alin ba ang unang matatamaan ng UTI? Yung nasa baba. Okay? Yung nasa baba. If it is an ascending type of infection at naapektuhan ang kidneys, ibig pong sabihin ay lumalala yung UTI ng pasyente. Okay? So yan. Alright, I think, ang haba na naman, besh. So, another na naman ite. Okay, so ganito po ang itsura ng ating WBC cast under the microscope. Alright, so makikita mo dyan yung ating mga cells. Okay, WBCs. So makikita mo yung granular characteristic ng ating WBCs. Okay, so I would have to end the video here kasi masyado na siyang mahaba. Hindi ko in-expect na ganito kahaba. Okay, so anyway, I hope I'm helping you guys ha. Yan. So kung may tanong, wag mahiya. Yes. Yes. Walang hiya tayo dito. Charot. Okay, so wag po kayong mahiya na i-voice out yung inyong tanong sa ating GC kasi baka mamaya pare-parehas lang kayo ng tanong ha. Alright, so thank you so much again for spending time with me. Oh. Okay, in this video. So I'll see you again in my next video. Bye. Bye.